This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
You're listening to Building the Broncos with Nick Kendell and Carl Dumler, Broncos Country's leading draft and scouting analysts. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com to sound off on all things Broncos.
Hello there, Broncos Country, and it is once again time for another episode of Building the Broncos. I am your host, Carl Dumler, and with me, as always, I have my co-host and Mr. Good Friend, Nick Kendell. Nick, we also have a guest star today in Mr. Cameron Parker. We've had him on the show quite a few times. Always love him from Locked On Broncos. Always encourage people to go over there, listen to their show as well. With Cody Rourke. There we go. But gentlemen, how's it going out there?
Hey, it's going pretty well for me. We just got done interviewing with Ben Albright, which was a fun interview. Excited to have that out there and excited to do this. I know we've done this before in the past with us too, but this year I figured we'd maybe get a little bit more in depth. So we're adding Cameron in here and we're going to be doing a fun draft game, a fun exercise that took a little bit of time to explain. That's okay, but I'm excited to do it.
Well, hey, there's a first time for everything, and what's not a first is me joining you guys, so thank you guys very much for having me on. As always, it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, talk about, just maybe draft prospects, or this may not necessarily be Broncos related, but it certainly has those prospects that could necessarily be included as interest potentially for the Denver Broncos. So, and it's all in good fun, all good things.
Yeah, definitely Bronco related because there's going to be at least one guy that we're going to talk about today that the Broncos, most likely that the Broncos end up drafting. So that's what it's going to come down to. And that's what draft season's all about. That's why it's so fun. It's endless possibilities besides what it seems like every single mock draft having the Broncos going Drew Lock 10th overall to the Broncos or trading up. But other than that, still endless possibilities. So a lot of fun, a lot of different directions this can go, and just going to kind of test our knowledge and give us a chance to build our own teams here. So, take it away, Carl.
Yeah, we want to make sure everyone out there knows that you can follow me on Twitter at Carl Dumler MHH and Nick at Nick Kendell MHH. And, of course, Cameron at Cameron Parker PO. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. You can follow the podcast Twitter account at Huddle Up Pod. And make sure you subscribe to our show and leave us a rating as we value your input on our show. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and even that of YouTube. Also, make sure you head over to Mile High Huddle, an affiliate of the 24/7 Sports and the CBS Sports Digital, to find ours and our co-writers' articles and all things pertain to your Denver Broncos. This podcast is powered by Overtime Media. So, like Nick said, we're going to be doing a little bit different draft game, and we are going to be focused on the offensive side of the ball tonight. And how this is going to work is this going to be an actual draft. We're going to try to make an all-star team out of only draft prospects. And we're going to be doing kind of a snake draft as we go through, just like – not like the original draft. Never mind.
Like a fantasy draft.
Fantasy draft, yes. Sorry, fantasy draft and how they do that. And then at the end, we're going to have you guys on Twitter vote on who you thought had the best draft. But, Nick, I'm going to hand it over to you. You're going to draw names out of a hat. Who has the number one pick?
And with the first pick, we have Cam. It's okay. So now the second pick. Let me do one more. Let me erase this Cam name here. I wonder who Cam's going to take. Maybe he might break my heart. The second pick, we're going to go with me. So, Carl, you get the back-to-back. I'm doing it online, the name picker. No, didn't mean to throw you under the bus there, Carl. But, all right, we're going to kick it off to Cam. Cam, you are officially on the clock with the first overall pick in our offensive side fantasy start from scratch draft.
What is the overall length, should we say, per selection?
Want you to talk you through it. Just look at the list, and it's not like we don't want to be taking too long. We're just kind of just filling it out here and talking players.
All right. So, there's certainly a lot of possibilities, but having the number one overall pick, and with it being an offensive class, sort of makes it a little bit difficult because my guess is a lot of at least speculation and a lot of mock drafts have it being Nick Bosa or Josh Allen or a bunch of defensive players. So this sort of leaves that possibility, that door open, that maybe an offensive player will be taken with that number one pick, and it will be obviously with me. That said, you
can go quarterback, you can go offensive line. There's a lot of directions you can go.
I'm actually going to go with Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. All right. With the first overall pick in the Building the Broncos Start from Scratch draft of the 2019 draft prospects, Kyler Murray, quarterback from Oklahoma.
Right field, actually.
Ooh,
right field.
Don't you mean center field?
Center field, yeah, sorry.
All right, Cam, well, tell me why you're going Kyler Murray.
Well, I just feel like, if for my sake, the goal is to make it an explosive offense, and I feel like Kyler Murray is arguably the most, I would say, polarizing prospect, just because of he's still going off of maybe a decision to play baseball or not go baseball, and I just feel like he's one of those tantalizing prospects and one of those electrifying prospects that sort of was like a Lamar Jackson. I think he's a much better prospect than a Lamar Jackson, but I think that the one thing that he certainly has that Lamar Jackson really didn't have was his ability to scramble and understand how to scramble. And I think maybe at times he does utilize his size to his advantage, and his best trait really is how he likes to throw the football and run with that combination. And I feel like if I want to make an explosive offense and build necessarily a team around him, Kyler Murray's the right way to go. Now, if he stays committed to football, well, then I certainly have a really good handshake in place. If he doesn't, well, he can go to baseball.
All right. Well, you take the Heisman winner, so that's really exciting. And no matter what, your offense is going to be exciting. I mean, this is fantasy in a sense. It's kind of like a Madden redraft league. So Kyler Murray, that gives you kind of a Michael Vick, Russell Wilson type of option there. So I mean, if we took this to Madden, I think you'd have one of the more fun teams because of that quarterback running options when there's no consequences of that guy actually getting hurt in real life, like in a video game. Always a lot of fun.
I have one question. Are we allowed to use the word tantalizing on this show?
I think so.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, no, it's getting a little bit PG-13 from our liking. But the next one, speaking of PG-13, I thought Cam might take this guy under my nose. He went quarterback, he went smart, but I'm playing the strategy a little bit different this time. I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson with my first overall pick here, tight end from the University of Iowa. He is, a lot of people make him not to be this inline guy where, he does absolutely open up a can of Captain Insano, I'll say it, whoop ass, against defenders all the time. I mean, Cam got to see it when he watched TJ Hawkinson take a few souls against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. But man, this guy he's getting a lot of hype. Daniel Jeremiah had him in his top 8 of the draft class. And we saw, I think it was John Leonard saying he's going to be a top 5 player overall in the draft class for him. And I know tight end isn't, typically in the NFL, it's not a position you're going to take this high up in the draft, but since we're filling out an offense, and I think that Hawkinson is probably the best all-around tight end in this class. I can get him in space. I can play him in the slot. I can play him in line. I can kind of play him as a fullback. Just move him all about. And I just think that there's a tier after him, and just his flexibility overall makes him my pick here. With the first pick I'm going with TJ Hawkinson, tight end, Iowa. And I'm sorry, I know you called dibs on him in the group chat, Cam, but you should have picked him first overall. You have nobody to blame but yourself.
Hey, you know what? I just give you props for taking a tight end with the number 1 overall pick.
Hey, man, the thing is, you took a quarterback, and there are 2 other quarterbacks that I like a lot left, so it's strategy now, I'd be fine with a couple other guys there, but I got to get my boy TJ Hawkinson. So that's what I'm going with.
You got to snag him early. I mean,
if I wanted him, yeah. I don't know if he was going to get it back to me either, though. I don't know if I could have gone somewhere else, maybe, but I don't know if he was getting it back to me. So I'm going to take my guy. I'm getting TJ Hawkinson.
Makes sense.
Good choice. It wasn't going to be who I went after.
You got back-to-back picks now.
I do. So my first pick, I'm going to go Jonah Williams. Ooh. I know there's talk of they're going to move him into guard and all that kind of stuff. No, he's going to be a tackle. I like him as my left tackle. I think he's one of the most consistent players, one of the first guys you could just plug and play, and he's going to be a great starter for you. If I have a rookie quarterback back there, I want to build the best trench that I can. And while you guys have weapons, I've got a guy that can hold off and block forever. So Jonah Williams, easy choice for me. And then my second pick, oh boy. I'm trying to decide on quarterback here, I guess, if that's what I want to do. I guess I will. I'll just go Drew Lock here.
Uh-oh.
I know. I decided to go ahead and do it. I watched a lot of both Drew Lock and Dwayne Haskins today, and something that I just came away with was the idea that Dwayne Haskins, he's very accurate, but he's very limited. Kind of like Benjamin Albright talked about today, if you got to have him stay in his lane. Drew Lock, he gets out of his lane. He drives off the road sometimes, and you're just like, what the heck, is this guy drunk? But he can make every throw in the book. And I just need a quarterback that I feel like I can attack every part of the field and make a defense have to cover every inch of that field. So I want him over that of Dwayne Haskins, and I didn't know if I'd get back to him. So I'm just going to go ahead and lock down my quarterback with Drew Lock.
Alrighty, well, that makes it interesting for me now. I got a number of different ways that I am thinking about going, but I think I am going to take my personal favorite offensive lineman in this class, and one that is getting a lot of hype. A lot of people think he's going to go top 10, but he's not a left tackle. But I'm going to be taking Jawan Taylor, the right tackle from the University of Florida. And boy, he is a guy who improved tremendously this year. He came to the University of Florida, a 3-star athlete, weighing nearly 400 pounds, and now he's down to about 330, and he's got size. He's very smooth. He's not a Garrett Bowles level athlete, but for his ability to move at his size is really just exceptional. And there's some technical aspects of his game, how he carries his hands, how he strikes, that still need to be improved upon. But the package is all there. And unlike a guy like Jonah Williams, who may actually have to kick inside, that's been being reported. Carl's not doing that here. Totally fine. But I think Jawan Taylor, plugging him at right tackle, I think he's got the chance to be the best offensive lineman in this entire class. And I think he's definitely one that there's no questions about it. He's sticking at tackle. He's not a guy like, is he doesn't have the length? Is he not athletic enough? Is he too stiff? No, this guy's sticking at tackle, and I am going to be excited to have him and TJ Hawkinson playing side by side.
Well, for me, I'm actually going to continue that offensive line theme, and I'm actually going to keep it with the school. I'm going to go with Cody Ford, the lineman down with Oklahoma. I feel like if we want to truly make Kyler Murray comfortable back there, get him a guy that knows the system, and at least have some established relationship previously with a guy that can maybe be that right tackle with Cody Ford. And if you guys are Broncos fans, he sort of could be in that area that if the Denver Broncos certainly could be in the market for a quarterback in free agency, if they decide to go down that route, Cody Ford could potentially be an option.
Absolutely.
If the Denver Broncos decide to go that route, but obviously when there's smoke, there's fire with Drew Lock. So, but no, I think with just the whole Kyler Murray thing, it just makes a ton of sense to keep it within the family, should I say, and keep Cody Ford there. I feel like he's very athletic as far as a tackle. He's might be. You guys probably know a little bit more about it than I do, but he seems to be the most athletically gifted tackle in this class. Is that fair?
I'm not sure he's the most athletically gifted. I think Jawan Taylor might be just as good, if not better. And I think Yadni Kajust is up there as well, although he's got some technical issues. But Cody Ford, I will say that he is the most likely to kick ass. There's no other way to put it. He's a mauler. Yeah. He's a good athlete too, but he can dominate dudes at the point of attack. And I'd be worried that if he came to Denver, I love his game, don't get me wrong, but if he did come to Denver, it would be a race to see who would finish with more personal fouls between him and Garrett Bowles. Because every single Oklahoma game I watched, Cody Ford was getting into some extracurricular activity, which I can get behind. I love a mean, nasty offensive lineman, but that's something you got to watch out for with him. But I like the strategy here, getting back-to-back Boomer Sooners here. And if you're going to play with 5'2" quarterback, is that how tall I feel like he gets shorter every day.
With a yellow book, he's about 5'5".
Okay. About 5'9". Let's just call it 5'9". You got to protect him.
He's shopping in the boys large section now.
Oh, man. All right, well, you are back on the clock now, Cameron, with the back-to-back pick. So far, you've taken a quarterback and an offensive lineman. Let's see what you go now.
We're going to go with another skill player. We're going to go with we're going to go down with the running backs.
Okay.
And then I actually, just to throw my skill players in there, we're actually not going to go with a running back, and we're going to go with DK Metcalf, the wide receiver for Ole Miss, arguably the top wide receiver in his class. Now, granted, you guys know how much I love N'Keal Harry, and I say his name a lot in our group chats, but DK Metcalf, you're looking at a guy with size and can absolutely run like a gazelle. Maybe not quite to what we certainly saw with Cortland Sutton. But I mean, you're looking at a number one potential option if you want to say for a guy like a Kyler Murray and a guy that really can go up and get it. And so DK Metcalf from Ole Miss.
I was going to say, if his medicals check out, he's definitely a top-tier wide receiver in this class. One of the few guys that could be a true number one. He fits well with Murray, running those deep routes and being able to take the top off a defense for sure and out-jump everybody. He's a good prospect. Still needs to work a little bit on some of his route running, but for the type of offense that you would want there with Kyler Murray, I think he's a pretty good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a little bit upset because I think that was going to be my pick there. But you know what? That's okay because I got my boy Hawkinson, so I'm just going to keep coming back to that because what else can I do? All right, well, now I am back on the clock here. It's kind of – I always like getting the end picks because then I can kind of go back to back, but that doesn't appear to be the case here. I'm going to go with a position here, though, that is totally against real draft concepts. This isn't a position you value. But in this scenario where we're kind of building more of a fantasy team, so to speak, I think there's just such a huge difference in talent between this player and the next player at his position. So I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs, the running back from Alabama. And I know running back is a position you can find an undrafted free agent guy, but Josh Jacobs, I don't think there's anybody close to him. I mean, David Montgomery's got some talent, David Singletary, there's some talent, but Josh Jacobs is the guy from this class at running back. I mean, there's a reason that Daniel Jeremiah drafted him in his most recent mock draft in the top 10. So I just think I'm filling it out here. I'm taking the guys that are the most elite at their position that I can. And I don't think the depth at running back this year, especially at the top, the quality at the top, there's just such a gap between Jacobs and the rest of them. So I'm going to go get Josh Jacobs.
Oh, boy. So you guys have taken a couple of my guys that I was hoping would get back to me. I was really hoping for Cody Ford. So then I'd have Jonah Williams on one side, Cody Ford on the other. That would be pretty fun to see. I figured you were going to take Juwan Taylor, so I wasn't banking on him getting to me. And so this leaves me getting my first weapon here for Drew Lock. I just talked to you earlier about this, Nick, that I think if the Broncos draft Drew Lock, as much as I love Hawkinson, I think the better fit with Drew Lock is Noah Fant just because of the ability to spread teams out, him attack the seam, get down the field where Drew Lock is at his best. It just makes too much sense to add him to this offense and really just pretty much make teams have to respect the middle of the field.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. I really think that I might finish with Noah Fant as my tight end one just because of his athleticism, but I just wanted to take Hawkinson to rub it in Cam's face because he said he called it more than anything. But no, that's a great pick. I'm really a big fan of Noah Fant and both Iowa tight ends off the board, so my heart is full. Right.
No, I figured you would like that one. I almost thought you might go two tight ends there.
I almost thought about it, but I thought that'd be too biased. I couldn't do it.
All right. Well, then my next pick here, I'm going to go with this. Might surprise some people here. Chris Lindstrom. Add to my offensive line here. Get the top guard in my book in this draft. Just a guy that I think can really dominate. I loved watching him at the Senior Bowl. Guy that just got downhill. Was nasty when he needed to be, fires off low, creates movement, all those kind of things. He's very good in pass protection when he was asked for it. He wasn't asked to do a whole lot there at Boston College because they like to run the football, of course. But I just think this is a guy that you can plug in there for the offensive line. And again, now I've got two guys working there, one on the outside, one in the middle, that my quarterback can really lean upon and know they're going to do well for me.
Well, that is a little bit unfortunate because that was a guy that I was also thinking about here because honestly, I'm not super impressed with this interior offensive line class. I just think that there's a drop off in some of this talent, so we will see. But that's a good pick for me. Now I am up and I am obviously stalling because I'm trying to decide which way I'm going to go. So I'm also trying to fill out these sheets for you guys while we're doing it.
I got mine.
Okay, cool. You see you have a little tab at the bottom too for your team. Just so you can kind of keep track of what positions you have.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Yeah, so I'm kind of cool. Well, now I'm on the clock, and I feel like there is another big drop off here in this class. And man, can I do that? I'm gonna get the most explosive wide receiver in this class. I'm gonna go with Hollywood Brown, and I know that kind of, again, messing with Cam here a little bit. Hollywood Brown, though, is definitely the guy that down the field, I mean, you have to watch out for him each play. He can make plays short as well. He can be a good slant receiver. But I feel like after DK Metcalf, Hollywood Brown is the one who's the most unique. I feel like there's a bunch of X's in this class, but there's not a lot of the true over-the-top guys, the quality of Hollywood Brown. I mean, his speed is incredible. So I'm going to go with that explosive playmaker because I think I can find other types of wide receivers later, but the difference between Hollywood Brown and the rest of them, as far as that speed over-the-top guy, is the biggest. So Hollywood Brown for me there.
This one's a little bit hard for me because I've already drafted a wide receiver, and I know exactly what wide receiver is on the board. And I also know what running back is on the board. And considering I already drafted DK Metcalf, I'm going to take kind of a sneaky approach with this one, but also a little bit of a biased approach. I'm going to go take Devine Ezigbo. His overall, I guess, talent-wise, and with his ability to be that elusive and just that powerful with his size, is just so rare. And I mean, I think right now, I mean, you're probably looking at him being, a day 2 guy, maybe even a day 4 guy, maybe. I was
day 3.
Day 3. Sorry. Hey, he could be a day 4 guy. You never know. He could be one of those guys that really does fly under people's radar, or even moves fast up of those boards because of just how he showed with Frost's system, how his ability to be so elusive with him being 230 pounds. And really, that Northwestern game is probably will put him on the map in that regard because he made a lot of people miss with that Northwestern defense. They should have won that game when they're up 31-21 with like 4.5 minutes left in that fourth quarter. I mean, they lost in overtime. But yeah, Ezigbo is a really interesting running back. I would be very interested to see where he would fit overall with the NFL draft. But I feel like if you want to look at certainly a backfield and to have your running back be a lot taller than your quarterback, it'd be pretty intimidating.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a biased pick there. Nebraska, but what can you do? And that's true, but Hawkinson is obviously much better than Ezigbo. Let's be real.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, man, you're back on the clock now, though. With you got your running back done. You still need 2 more wide receivers. You still need 2 tight ends, and you still got to fill out 4 more offensive linemen.
Well, I know that the other wide receiver, if I want to be biased, is probably still going to be there unless you take him, Nick.
That's always the risk.
It's just always the risk.
You got to take 3 wide receivers, though.
Right. I'm going to go stick with an offensive tackle and a guy that, who knows where he certainly fits. He certainly spoke openly about his love for Colorado. He's a Colorado kid. He's also still Big 12 born and bred. From Kansas State, played exceptionally well in the Senior Bowl. I'm going to go with Dalton Risner.
Interesting. I like that pick. I'm curious about when we go over our teams at the end, which one you're going to be have playing at left tackle. Because
that was my first question too.
That'll be interesting to see. All right. Well, now I am on the clock, and I am thinking here. You know what? I'm going to get my bookends here. I'm going to get I think probably the purest left tackle prospect in this class. And I'm going to go with Andre Dillard here, offensive tackle from Washington State. And he didn't have the best Senior Bowl, but everybody was raving about the length that he possessed and his feet. And a lot of people that I spoke with think he has the highest potential of any pass blocker in this entire class at the blind side specifically. So getting the elite pass blocking tandem of Jawan Taylor and Andre Dillard on the outside, right tackle and left tackle, I'm feeling good about whoever ends up being my quarterback when I do decide to pick them.
I'm thinking about just picking quarterback just so you can't get the 3rd best guy in this class.
Oh, that would be. You're going to play him at tight end?
I don't know where I'm going to play him, but just so you don't have quarterback.
Josh Allen was here, man.
No, I really thought about Andre Dillard and then kicking Jonah Williams back to right tackle since he played some of that there at Alabama and played really well. Yeah. I thought, man, that might actually be a pretty darn good combination.
Sorry for
guys.
That.
I know, but that's all right. That's all right. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get my receiver here, N'Keal Harry. Get my guy. Part of what I love about him is his ability to take a screen pass and get open in the open field and makes people miss. And that fits really well with Drew Lock. They either love to throw deep or throw the screen pass. And so, again, N'Keal Harry fits really well. That was one thing that he showed that he could do there at Arizona State. And I don't know. Just seems like the pick I need to do at this time. As much as again, it's not the greatest wide receiver class for sure. You don't have those top end guys. DK Metcalf might be that one guy that's a true number one. These other guys are really good number twos. So, but you still got to get wide receivers. So, gonna go that way. Oh man. So where do I go from here? Now it's my turn to stall a little bit. I guess I'm gonna get my center just because I do think that is an important position. I'm gonna go Garrett Bradbury and just give myself that interior two guys that I can really lean on again. And he's just a guy I could actually see going in the first round for that center position. Teams have really raved about this guy. He's a technician, knows how to win with leverage. There's a lot of things that actually kind of remind me a little bit of Paradis and what he can do, but he's not going to destroy people, but he knows how to use his power. And again, I think he's just a good fit for the Broncos. And Garrett Bradbury of North Carolina State.
All right. Well, that's a good pick there. Carl's so far taken out both times now. I've been about to go interior offensive line, and you've taken it out from under me, which, I mean, turnabout's fair play. That's the nature of the draft, especially fantasy drafts. I feel like that happens over and over again. All right. Well, now that, man, Cam, have you not taken a wide receiver? Oh, you have DK Metcalf. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, well, that leaves me now, and you know what? I think I have to go with, since you both have X's, I'm going to wait on my X, honestly, and I'm going to add a guy that I think it can be a down-the-field threat, but also just an incredible yak monster, and I think he was my winner of the entire Senior Bowl, and I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel here. And this, if I was getting Kyler Murray or Drew Lock, I don't think Deebo Samuel I would value as much. But considering if one of you do end up taking another quarterback, I'm not going to say it's illegal, but you do what you want to do. But as far as Dwayne Haskins or Daniel Jones, let's say potentially I end up with one of them. Potentially, those are guys that are better short intermediate passers, and I don't know if there's a better wide receiver in this class that I love in the short intermediate areas of the field than Deebo Samuel. So I'm getting some speed. I don't have really the size yet, but there are a couple size guys that I like. So I'm going to go Deebo Samuel, and I think he has a chance to end up being the best wide receiver in this class, and I've heard some people compare him favorably to Antonio Brown, the player. So I'm really happy to get Deebo Samuel here and pair him with Hollywood Brown.
You jerk.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm going a little different. You guys both got those size guys. DK Metcalf can be a little bit more than that, but you got a pure X, and I feel like you played DK Metcalf also at X. But now I got a guy who can play slot or Z, in both of them in Hollywood Brown and Deebo Samuel. So
I was going to say that it's going to be kind of an interesting combo between those two and how you would use them.
I think we'll get to it there, but I think that you can move either of them around. You can cover one of them. It depends on how they get off press and everything. But I mean, if you can figure out how to use Hollywood Brown more as, I think, an 11 personnel, you'd use him on the outside more, or you could run kind of a wheel and do a little bit of both, and with Deebo Samuel more as a slot. But I think they're pretty interchangeable, honestly.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel being the most interchangeable of the two.
Right.
All right, Cam, you are now on the clock.
Well, considering I have yet to go tight end, Carl's took away the tight end I probably would have considered, and actually probably would have fit Kyler Murray's offense, obviously with it being that stretch tight end being exciting. And considering he is still one of the top tight ends available, I'm going to go with Irv Smith, the tight end from Alabama.
Irv Smith Jr. to you, sir.
I mean, I could go back in time and draft his dad. I could do that.
Didn't his dad play for the Broncos? Am I misremembering that?
No, so supposedly it goes that the draft note really on Irv Smith is that his dad played under Vic Fangio, or I believe, or something like that. Like he was like Vic Fangio and him like bumped paths when they were when he was playing football or something. So the Irv Smith connection might, if I want to create my own rumor, might actually have some hay down there in the NFL draft. You never know. The Broncos want to get that tight end. So, but yeah, Irv Smith for this particular draft and the Cameron Crazies, as we want to get crazy, Irv Smith to the Denver Broncos.
All right. Well, that's a good pick. You are now back on the clock here with, let me fill out this one for you. I'm sorry. I'm trying to play host a little bit and do this as well. All right. So you are now on the clock. You still need, looking over your roster, you still need 2 more wide receivers, another tight end, and then 3 interior offensive linemen.
I'm going to go with another wide receiver. You know, obviously I'm a little bit biased too on this one, but I saw you tag me in one of them on Twitter. But I like the prospect of Stanley Morgan. He's not a true number one. I sort of compared him to Michael Gallup in a way, but I mean, he's not a guy that is over the top exciting. He's a very sound route runner. He really understands, his role as a wide receiver, which, is rare, I think, at times, because, I mean, we always see necessarily the explosiveness of a wide receiver, but as far as being polished of a route runner, and maybe over time, Stanley Morgan's going to be one of the best wide receivers in this class. He's also, one of those guys that's going to put in the work on and off the field, maybe in the community as well. So he's a stand-up human being, and he's a leader. And, if the Broncos do feel like they want to, just for a Bronco plug, if they want to go to maybe and continue that leadership route, should I say, or that type of guy, Stanley Morgan could potentially fit the bill there, and maybe even potentially being a number 3, number 2, versatility-wise, I think Stanley Morgan would be tremendous.
All righty. Well, there you have it. Now looking over my roster, I have so far taken running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and I have not yet taken an interior offensive lineman. But I think I'm going to actually fill out my wide receivers here. And I'm going to take I don't think he's ever going to be a high-end number 1 wide receiver, but I think he's got potential as an X in this class. And I think he's got a very high floor, and I like just a lot of what he does. So I'm going to go with Kelvin Harmon here, honestly. And he's going to be my X in this system. So I have now a wide receiver trio of Kelvin Harmon, Deebo Samuel, and Hollywood Brown. And I feel like all of them are very unique in their own skill sets. Also with TJ Hawkinson, you build a wide receiver core. The classic saying is you build a wide receiver core like you build a basketball team. And I feel like I got a very much a different skill set across the board here with my wide receivers. So I'm going to go with Kelvin Harmon.
I can't disagree with that one. I mean, I was kind of trying to decide between N'Keal Harry and him a little bit, and I just thought Harry has a little bit more upside, and a little bit more better fit with what I want to do with Drew Lock.
He's more yak.
Right. And so I guess it's my turn here, huh?
Yes, sir.
So I am going to. I'm trying to decide if I want to go with the wide receiver here or not. I guess here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Riley Ridley.
Okay.
And I know he hasn't put up huge numbers, but I think he makes a good number 2 on the other side. He's a very smooth player, not the most athletic, not the most gifted or anything like that. Still needs to work on some route running, which I mean every college player coming out does, but has really nice hands, just good ball skills, just seems to know how to concentrate to make some good plays. I don't know. I just really like what he does on the field, and just one of the more pure receivers that I see in this draft.
I like it a lot, and it's like you were saying, I think after DK Metcalf, there's kind of a drop-off as far as high-end wide receiver 1 potential. The injuries are obviously going to be an issue, and he's raw as a route runner as well. So there's questions about DK Metcalf, but I feel like after that, there's a bunch of really solid number 2 wide receivers, and the depth of this class also is just really good at that position. So yeah, it's a good year for the Broncos to look for talent in that regard, but that's a good pick, and I believe you are back on the clock here again, sir.
I am. You are right.
I'm trying to stall a little bit for you as I provide comments.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. I figure both of you guys already have your tackles.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes life a little bit easier for me on some of that. And so I think I might end up finishing my interior here. And I'm going to go with Eric McCoy of Texas A&M.
Interesting pick. He did well down in Mobile.
Yeah.
I
really like this guy. Yeah, I'm going to play him at guard.
Okay. All right.
And that's I went back and forth on that because there's some other more pure guards, but I'm just taking guys that I think are the top guys for that interior right now. And I think he's a guy that can kind of move around just a little bit. He's got some size to him, being 310 pounds. I think he fits well. He played in that zone scheme there at Texas A&M. And I think the Broncos are going to be able to run that quite. I think he has versatility to play both, I guess is what I should say. And that's one thing I really love about what he can bring to the table, and his ability to get to the edge, all those kind of things. I'm excited about him. And I feel like that offensive line right now, from left tackle to right guard so far, I feel like neither of your guys' teams could even come close to matching that when you guys get done.
Yeah, I think you probably will have the best offensive line when it's all said and done, and that's good. But I'm playing for the voters' hearts. Voters, how much offensive line tape are they watching, Carl?
Well, I'm hoping our listeners, because you are a trench guy.
I am.
And I'm hoping that we've nailed that into their heads of you win in the trenches, you win the game. So my team right now, especially with Drew Lock at the quarterback, if you can protect him, that guy can wing it down the field. You got Noah Fant there running down the seam. N'Keal Harry taking a screen pass 80 yards down the field. Riley Ridley just being that smooth guy, being able to do whatever you need him to do. I feel like I'm pretty darn set there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what the voters think. Well, maybe we should put a little money on this or something. Maybe do something with Sire next week. But okay, well, now I'm on the clock, and I'm going to go with a Wisconsin-born boy here. I'm going to go with Michael Dieter. He was one of the standouts down in Mobile, and he's been a really good player up at Wisconsin for a number of years. And the thing that I really love about Michael Dieter is that he gives me a lot of versatility that I can go with the rest of the draft, because Michael Dieter has literally played all 5 positions on the offensive line at Wisconsin. I believe it's 4 or 5, but I'm pretty sure it's all 5. And he's a good guy. He's not an incredible athlete, but he plays with good scheme. He's got good hands, moves pretty well, and I think he's also a guy who can play probably in either scheme. So Michael Dieter here, I'm going to fill out one of my first interior offensive linemen, and I don't feel bad about it. And anyway, I think Michael Dieter has got a chance to be a really good player, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up a starter by the end of his first season in the NFL.
Well, I mean, when you're drafting from basically offensive line university,
yeah,
I mean, it's hard to argue that.
He was the guy I was debating between McCoy and Dieter. Those were the 2 guys I was kind of going back and forth on, and just decided McCoy. I feel like he's a little bit better talent-wise overall.
I don't disagree. I just wonder about his ability at guard compared to center. I feel like I remember seeing and reading that he was much better and more comfortable at center compared to guard, but he does have guard potential. I mean, we'll have to sell it at the end anyway, so we'll see. But I don't think your reasoning's off by any means. All right, well, this is now we're going to finish out the 8th round here. Cameron, you are on the clock now, and looking at your squad, you still do need another wide receiver, you still need another tight end, and you need all 3 interior offensive linemen. You got your bookends there, but you need 3 interior offensive linemen as well.
Well, I'm going to actually continue that Wisconsin theme, and I'm going to go with Bo Benschwall.
Gesundheit.
Right. He was a consensus first-team All-American by the AFCAAP and Walter Camp, obviously, and he's just when you think of just those true offensive linemen, just those juggernauts between Dieter and Benschwall. It's between those 2. I mean, they were probably one of their better offensive linemen. So, and my guess is he's probably going to end up turning into basically being a pure guard in the sense. Although being at 317, it seems like he could be a little bit more athletic to be maybe considered at a tackle. But considering I already have those tackle spots sort of sold, should I say, Bo really does fit that bill.
All right. Well, you are on the clock again, and I did the best I could to spelling his name, as you can probably see that. But you have still two interior offensive linemen needed left, and you need another wide receiver and a tight end.
That I do. I think if we were to go with the tight end class, should I say, there isn't really a guy that excites me per se. I mean, obviously, because you and I in stuff with following Iowa and obviously with Irv Smith, there really isn't a guy there. But with wide receiver, man, I'm going to go with a lot of excitement on my wide receiving core, and I'm going to go with Hakeem Butler from Iowa State. So a lot of size, and certainly route running with Stanley Morgan. So Stanley Morgan, I guess the plan would be for Stanley Morgan to be my number 3.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Or you could have him be on the outside when you bring in your 3 wide receiver sets and kick him inside, or 2 wide receiver sets and kick him inside on the 3s.
Right. But it makes sense, I mean, because of the sense that, I do have Kyler Murray as my quarterback, and if he's definitely that downfield quarterback, and especially in the red zone, you need guys with that particular size, and I wouldn't necessarily want to deal with a red zone of DK Metcalf and Hakeem Butler in the red zone.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. That's a lot of size. You're pretty much a lot of power forwards there. a lot of size, which not a bad way to go. All right, we'll look over my roster here still. And I think I am going to take another pass-catching weapon because I am going against the grain here with the brand, switching it up, which is fine. I mean, you got to do that sometime. And I'm going to go with somebody, again, I'm trying to think of guys that can help my quarterback, that make a lot of sense with my quarterback. And I'm going to go with Dawson Knox here. Dawson Knox, I think, he's an underrated tight end right now. He's kind of one of those tight end hybrids where he is kind of a flexed tight end. I don't want to call him Evan Ingram exactly. I think he's actually a little bit better blocker than Evan Ingram, but that's kind of that mold that you're looking for there. A seam stretcher, a lot of athleticism, and a guy that is just a space weapon. And now I have TJ Hawkinson, which obviously he's my tight end number 1, but when I'm playing 12 personnel, 21 personnel, I have a lot of ways I can go, and I feel like I got weapons that can hit you any side of the field, but I got a lot of guys also that have extremely good yak ability. So if I get a quarterback in a system that I can get these guys in space, it is going to create a lot of issues. I just need a point guard because of how good these ISO weapons can be. And that will kick it off to Carl, who is now on the clock once again.
Oh, you just took my tight end.
And I'm sorry, you're going to go Dawson Knox and Noah Fant?
I was thinking about it, man. That kind of speed on the field, up the seams. I mean, you don't know which guy's going to go up the seam. You don't know which guy's going to cut off and go underneath on a quick route. I mean, I really did think about it. And so now I'm going to go almost kind of a complete opposite direction. And I'm going to go with Isaac Nada of Georgia. And this is more, he's not really known for his quickness like a Noah Fant would be. But he is a guy, he's very strong blocker, wants to get in there. He'll lift a guy off the ground and slam him to the ground. He's that guy that you can stick in line, and I'm going to love what he's going to bring to the run game. But he can also go out there, make some good catches, make some tough catches. I mean, that's kind of he's very, very strong at getting up there and getting the football and coming down with it. So I think it's kind of a nice combination of Fant and him added to this team. And I just think that's I guess I'm going to go get a little bit different kind of athlete, I guess, for the tight end position there.
You got your in line. You got your why.
I did.
Not a bad way to go.
I know. I really wanted that athleticism on the field, but probably I should go a little bit different.
Did you consider at all? I think Cam still needs another tight end, but it's worth discussing. Did you consider at all Moreau from LSU?
I did. Because I really did like what I saw from the Senior Bowl from him. I hadn't watched much of him before the Senior Bowl, and then I kind of watched some of that, and I was like, oh, that's not too bad from that kid. But I just decided I feel like this kid from Georgia offers a little bit higher upside. Okay.
All right. Well, I was just curious because I think he's probably the best in-line tight end in this class, just as a pure blocker.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, that's why I'm saying I think Nwada offers a little bit more as a receiver.
For sure.
And I like that kind of combination. And then I'm going to finish out my wide receiver group here. And I'm going to get Drew Lock, one of his favorite targets, Emmanuel Hall.
Good pick. I like that.
And, guy that can take the top off a defense. I mean, when you have Fant running the seam, this guy running the deep route, teams aren't going to know what to do. They're not going to be able to defend the underneath stuff. It's going to be a fun offense when you spread them out like this.
Did you consider at all Terry McLaurin?
I did, but I guess I'm holding back. I'm holding his drop touchdown in the Senior Bowl against him.
Okay.
And plus, I just feel like Emmanuel Hall, he has that quicker connection with Drew Lock. I mean, you've seen it this year alone. I mean, some of it was just new offensive schemes, so trying to learn that. But Hall being out really hurt Lock this year. When he came back, that offense really took it to a whole new notch. And you could just see defenses started just freaking out the second Hall was on the field. And so I'm excited what he brings to the offense. And like I said, that kind of speed with Drew Lock's ability to hit the deep ball, it's hard to argue. I know the kid from Ohio State, he has a lot of speed too, but I like Hall's overall game a little bit more.
For sure. I don't disagree. I'm a big fan of Hall as well, and I think that the Broncos would be wise to pair both Hall and Lock together, so not a bad way to go. I'm going to be on the clock now, and I am going to take a guy that really just impressed me all season, and he's a guy that they thought maybe he could play up some guard as well, but he really just found a home at the center and really did well there at the Senior Bowl as well, and impressed me all season. That's Elton Jenkins from Mississippi State. I think he's a guy who can also play in either scheme. He can dig guys out at the point of attack. He's one of those centers that actually you're not going to have to worry about him in 1v1 situations because he actually does have a pretty good amount of power. So as opposed to Carl's guy, who's definitely the more athletic guy that can get to the second level and tandem team and peel off and everything like that, you're not going to leave Garrett Bradbury 1v1 very often. But I think Jenkins can handle that load when he needs to. So I'm going to go with there, and only got a couple more picks left, but I'm liking the way this is looking. So Cam, you are now on the clock, and you got back-to-back picks here, and I think that'll close you out.
It will.
You got one more, right?
But I'm kind of liking what I'm doing. I'm going with a lot of familiarity and also with a lot of size to make up a little bit for Kyler Murray, but also give him some playmakers. And I do need to get the trenches figured out, and I'm going to draft Eric McCoy, the guard center from Texas A&M.
Yeah, he already went, buddy.
Wait, he did?
I took him. Yeah,
Carl took him round.
Can this be like a white elephant gift, and I take his pick?
I don't think it works that way. I wish the Browns did that with the Baker Mayfield last year for us. Well, actually, we meant to take him.
Right. But I'll turn out for the best. I am going to instead actually draft Michael Jordan. I'm going to take Michael Jordan. No, I mean the basketball player, right?
Yeah, they both play guard, right?
Right. Yeah, they both play guard.
Same type of body.
Right,
about the same height.
But, right, 6'6". Michael Jordan was 6'6", 312 pounds when he was at the Chicago Bulls, right?
I think that's how big he is now.
Oh, okay.
It's the current weight.
we're all laughing. Yeah, I'm going to take
Charles Barkley, actually, but no.
Right. I'm going to take Michael Jordan, though, the guard center from Ohio State. Just having that type of guy that's flexible to be inside or even with center or guard, I think is a plus. And his value and him being valuable, and with his certain wingspan and the length that he has, he could be a fit at tackle. But obviously, with the potential guard need, we need amount of space that we need. So I'm going to go with Michael Jordan, the guard center from Ohio State.
All right, well that's a solid pick, and I'm going to do. Oh, wait, no, you're still on the clock. You got one more. You got one more, and then you got it. So you still need one more interior offensive lineman, and you still need one more tight end.
Right. I'm actually going to go with tight end on this one. So to look at the...
So just some names that we can toss out for the listeners here. You still got guys like Dax Raymond, who did very well at the Senior Bowl. Probably was the best tight end down at the Senior Bowl this year. You still got Jay Sternberger from Texas A&M, who had a pretty good year. I think he was second for the Mackey Award that Hawkinson won. You still have Caden Smith from Stanford, who a lot of people think very highly of. And you got a guy like Foster Moreau, who had been arguably one of the better inline blockers at tight end in this class. And another tight end standout from the Senior Bowl, Trayvon Wesco. I'm
actually going to maybe keep it. Well, I was going to keep it within the Texas A&M family, but I'm going to go with Jace Sternberger, the surprise early entry in the 2019 NFL draft. He did have a huge season for the Aggies. He totaled, I believe, was almost 50 receptions for 832 yards, very close to 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. So again, maybe just another red zone opportunity for a guy like Sternberger. He seemed very athletic to me. As far as a tight end goes, I mean, he's a little less than necessarily your 6'5", 6'6" type tight end, but I mean, that's sort of picking apples and oranges. But 6'4", 250 pounds. The 40 time is a little bit less than to be desired, but I mean, he still prevents maybe a little bit of that athletic type guy. But Jace Sternberger.
All right, not a bad pick. I like him a lot for Denver. Round 3, maybe round 4. We'll see how. I mean, a lot of this is going to be sorted out via the combine, so we'll see how he runs and everything. But that's a good pick. I'm actually going to think a little bit outside the trenches here with this pick. And Carl, it's something we've talked about on this podcast a lot. You know who makes the best interior offensive lineman?
Iowa?
Nah, well, not where, but like who?
Oh, offensive tackles?
Offensive tackles. You're damn right. So I'm going to go with an offensive tackle here that I think I'm actually going to pencil him in at guard. He's a good athlete. He's long. He's strong at the point of attack. but he's a little bit stiff, and I'm going with a guy that I think has still elite pass blocking upside, and he can play tackle, but I'm actually going to pencil him at guard here, and I'm going to go with Yadni Kajust. And I really think that his role in the NFL, watching him, I think he could be a very high-end guard. And he might even end up being the best guard in this class. I wouldn't be surprised at all. They're going to try him at tackle first, I believe, but I really like him at guard. He's going to need to add a little bit more strength, but he's got the frame for it, and I think that he could really excel there. So I'm a little bit outside the box here, but again, I really believe that 99% of the time, that's not a true stat. Let's say 70% of the time, the best interior offensive lineman in the NFL played offensive tackle in college. So I'm going to go with Yadni Kajust here because I really do think he could move inside and be really good there at the NFL level. That was a big sigh.
No, I wasn't actually going to take him here.
Okay. I know you need another offensive tackle.
I do. I looked at his name. I'm not really sold at him at their tackle. So I'm going to go with Dwayne Haskins for offensive tackle.
Oh man, are you seriously?
I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say. I mean, we're gonna vote on this, so good luck, Drew Lock.
No, I'm actually gonna go a tight end for an offensive tackle, David Edwards.
Okay.
And this is a guy I know you're not as high on him as I am. I think
struggled this year a little bit, and there's some talk that the shoulder injury might keep him out all next season.
Oh, I hope not, but. When healthy, I think this is a guy that is developing that could turn into something. I mean, he's got athleticism. Obviously, he went to college as a tight end, grew into a tackle, and he's still learning the position. But I just feel like he's a guy that showed pretty well. Like you said, he did struggle some this year, but the year before that, I thought he really showed a lot of promise and played through a lot of injury this year. I just think his best days are ahead of him. And I think because of that athleticism, he can be a great pass blocking right tackle. I mean, I'm looking at if we're talking if this was going to be a team playing in the AFC West, that right tackle is going to have to be an athlete. Going to have to be a guy that can both show power and speed. And I think he's a guy that can really develop that, especially with we're always thinking of this as in terms of Broncos. So one, I like Munchak working with a guy that's a project like him.
Yeah.
And two, getting him in our weightlifting program that we have with the Broncos, I just really like that as well. And so now I'm down to my running back position, and I'm going to go with a Big 12 running back here, David Montgomery. And I don't know, I don't think he's the best pure running back or anything like that, but I like his overall game. I like his ability, especially as a pass catcher. I think he's got really good hands, and his ability in the open field with his balance. I mean, this guy stays up on his feet in ways that you rarely see. He somehow it looks like they got him down and boom, he's out of there. And so he's not the best at finding the hole. That's something he's really got to work on. There's got to be some work on that. His football intelligence, I question just a little bit, but his balance is something I think, especially in the passing game, if we're spreading teams out, like I plan on with Drew Lock and this kind of set of weapons, I think he can find at least enough hole to get through. And once he gets to that second level, this kid is fun to watch.
I had it written down, and then it's acting all funky for me. So David Montgomery, you back-to-back David picks there.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a strategy to that, or is that just, my middle name is David, so I mean, I'm definitely up on any David in the draft. That's just how it works. All right, well, now it's my last pick, and you guys, I definitely played the draft game. And, it's strategy, but it's definitely cheating too. So I'm taking the Patriot way. Anytime I can do that. I have yet to take a quarterback. You guys took I took Hawkinson first, and then Carl took Locke, and I figured, hey, you guys probably not going to take another quarterback. So that let him drop, let him fall to me. So I'm going to go with Dwayne Haskins here with my last pick, and that's going to round me out. And I'm curious to see what Cam does here, but I'm excited also to get these on Twitter. Probably won't do that until tomorrow, just because I got another podcast I'm going to be on tonight, and I got to edit the Albright one still. But I'll put this on Twitter tomorrow, and I'll also put it up on the Lombardi Draft Talk. That'll be fun, and we'll get to that. But now, Cam, hopefully I stalled enough for you that you can be thinking about what you need here for your last pick here and interior offensive lineman.
I'm more debating on what type of Dwayne Haskins you'll get. Are you going to get the last 4 weeks? Or are you going to get the Dwayne Haskins that played against Nebraska? I mean, they beat him, but he did kind of look a little sketchy at best against Nebraska. So
Yeah, I bet you he's still the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft.
Oh, with how much? I don't know. We'll see.
And in the right scheme, he can be a very dangerous quarterback.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like Tom Brady. He's not going to throw the football deep very often. Look at this last Super Bowl. He just picked the Rams apart over the middle. I mean, just have oh my gosh, I'm blanking on their wide receiver.
Chris Hogan?
No.
Philip Dorsett?
No.
Julian Edelman?
Yeah, Edelman. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Oh my goodness. They're MVP.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But not Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
No. You're muted.
But I know. Sorry. Edelman. But I mean, that's all he does is these little quick 5-yard passes that turn into 10, 15 yards and just slowly and methodically move down the field. Even there with Gronk. I mean, Gronk's not going to beat anybody over the top because he's not the athlete that he used to be. But he still gets enough separation and just hit him over the middle for those 5-10 yard passes. And I mean, it works.
Honestly, Gronk is their field stretcher in the pass game because of his size. Because of
his size, but he's not going to beat anybody over the top. But I mean, he's faster than you think. I would say once he gets going, he's actually a little faster than you think because there are times where he's running away from those linebackers. But beyond that, yeah, they just don't have anybody that they're really looking to stretch the field. They're looking for running backs out of the backfield. And again, if you get a quarterback like Dwayne Haskins in an offense like that, he'll pick a team apart.
Yeah, just to reiterate on the Patriots a little bit more, the thing that I find fascinating about it is really because Tom Brady can't hit those passes the same way outside the hash marks anymore, but they still got to figure out a way to push the ball vertically just to kind of keep teams from compressing on them. That's how you have Gronkowski. I mean, he had the one long pass reception the Patriots had this week. So that's your quote unquote deep play threat. You know, he's the guy that's making your safety's having to back up a little bit just because of the size he has. I mean, if you get him on the seam and you can throw it up to him, he can come down with it. And then you have Edelman running the precise routes underneath, whether it be slants, outs, curls, stick, crosses, a bunch of stuff with him. And that's mainly a lot of times your main primary read if the deep ball to the Gronk isn't there. And then you have the running back as the dump off option. So it's really brilliant because it keeps Brady's arm from being exposed because they're not asking him to hit the ball outside the hash marks. They don't have the weapons that are great for that either, but they're not asking him to do it because of how they're playing a middle of the field offense. And it's just, right. I mean, it's really brilliant.
Right. And that's Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
He's not got the biggest arm. He's not going to be able to throw it outside the hashes a ton. He's not going to hit you down the field a ton, but he is precise. He can hit those quick routes. I mean, I went back and watched the Michigan game today. It was boring.
Yeah.
He was boring as a quarterback. All the passes were these 5-yard in routes, but they worked. And he hit guys in stride, and a 5-yard pass turned into a 30-yard pass. And any team playing man, I mean, I'm looking at your team, and I'm talking up your team too much here. But you got Deebo Samuel, Hollywood Brown. Those guys running those crossing routes, I mean, that, again, 5-yard pass turned into a 30, 40-yard pass. And you got you got Hawkinson's there, Dawson Knox as well. I mean, so you got some athletes that can really help him out. I mean, have you seen those getting back to Tom Brady, have you seen those videos where they're like, oh my gosh, look how great of a quarterback he is. He threw it 5 yards.
Yep.
Have you seen? Okay. Yeah. Those are all over Twitter. And so again, that's kind of what Haskin does well. And if you have a coach that plays to his strengths, if you don't look at, I saw earlier today, if you play a player to his strengths, not look at what they can't do, but look what they can do.
Daniel Jeremiah.
Yep, exactly. And so, I mean, I think we all kind of tried to build our teams to fit that a little bit. I mean, Cam, I'll talk up your team here a little bit.
He still has one more pick, though.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Should I let you get your last pick and then we can talk?
I think we should.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead here, Cam. Are you still here?
I am still here. I think it's only appropriate that if we're tailoring a little bit to the Denver Broncos, and because I need a guard, that I draft Connor McGovern. Not Connor McGovern, the guy we have now, but Connor McGovern, the guard down there at Penn State. He's a really strong dude. He's really solid in the run blocking area. He does lack in pass protection. But I feel like with just the overall nature, obviously pass blocking is something that you can become a little bit more accustomed to over time. And so obviously it would necessarily be a draft in the later rounds. I'm not saying the Denver Broncos are going to draft another Connor McGovern, but it's one of those guys that just is another versatile type player where he plays center, he plays guard. He's not exactly the Connor McGovern that's, on the Denver Broncos now. It's somewhat similar. He doesn't maybe squat 600 pounds like that Connor McGovern did in Missouri, but overall, I think just in order for him to maybe play that guard or that center gives him that flexibility. And who knows, with the health of Matt Paradis, that maybe the Connor McGovern of the Denver Broncos now, maybe he plays guard, or maybe the Connor McGovern of Penn State plays center to take over for. Be kind of weird if there were two Connor McGoverns on the same team. But overall, though, and just with the overall protection of Kyler Murray, and with certainly with what I have, I just feel like it's certainly a good fit.
For sure. All right, well, I'm going to run over the rosters here. We're getting a little bit long because what's new, but I'm going to run over the rosters here. And voters, they'll get this on Twitter as well. I want you guys to decide. But Cameron's team, the Cameron Crazies, as I named them. Cam, you want a better name, or is that we going with that?
I think it's fantastic.
Cameron Crazies. All right, quarterback, Kyler Murray, Oklahoma. Running back, what's the Ozigbo, Nebraska. His first name I cannot remember.
Divine.
Fine.
Because it's so divine.
So divine. Wide receiver, DK Metcalf, Ole Miss. Wide receiver, Stanley Morgan Jr., Nebraska. Wide receiver, Hakeem Butler, Iowa State. Tight end 1, Irv Smith Jr. from Alabama. Tight end 2, Jay Sternberger from Texas A&M. And then the offensive line, you got Cody Ford, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. Bo Benzenschwall, offensive guard from Wisconsin. I'm assuming Michael Jordan at center for Ohio State. Connor McGovern at guard for Penn State. And then Dalton Risner for Kansas State. Carl's team, you got Drew Lock at quarterback from Missouri. Running back David Montgomery from Iowa State. N'Keal Harry, wide receiver from Arizona State. Wide receiver Riley Ridley from Georgia. Wide receiver Emmanuel Hall, also from Mizzou. Tight end Noah Fant from Iowa. Tight end Isaac Noata from Georgia. Offensive line, you got Jonah Williams from Alabama. Eric McCoy from Texas A&M. Garrett Bradbury from NC State. Chris Lindstrom from Boston College. And David Edwards from Wisconsin. So I like that run blocking potential you got there, Carl, with that offensive line. And then for me, I have quarterback Dwayne Haskins, running back Josh Jacobs, wide receiver Hollywood Brown, wide receiver Deebo Samuel, wide receiver Kelvin Harmon, tight end TJ Hawkinson, tight end Dawson Knox. And in the offensive line, I got left tackle Andre Dillard, left guard Yadni Kajust, center Elton Jenkins, right guard Michael Dieter, and right tackle Jawan Taylor. Any thoughts sticking out there, guys, before we close this out and get out of here?
I know Carl wanted to talk up my team a little bit.
All right, I'll do a little talk because I did talk up Nick's there, and there's things I really like about your team. I really love, DK Metcalf with Kyler Murray and him being able to stretch the field. Irv Smith is kind of that all-around tight end that, he played some inline. He played slot tight end. He played a little bit everywhere, it seemed like, for that tight end position. So it's nice to be able to move him around. I'm a little bit interested to see how your other wide receivers work together. Stanley Morgan there in the slot, it'd be kind of an interesting mix there. And then offensive line-wise, again, I guess my question is, who's your left tackle?
My left tackle is going to be Cody Ford.
Okay. Well, I'd be interested to see how that goes in that transition for him. That's my one big question with your team is there's just not really that true left tackle. Risner actually played left tackle, but again, is that his best fit? He's actually said himself his best fit is right tackle. So I'm not sure how that would work out. But otherwise, it's kind of a nice, interesting combination of different kinds of weapons. You're a big team. That's one thing I will say. You got big weapons. So yeah. Red zone, it's just kind of throw it up and let those guys go to work.
Yeah, that was basically my thinking, because if you do draft a guy that is on the shorter side, as a quarterback, but yet he's also explosive himself, it's sort of that mix and match. And I thought that it certainly panned out. Maybe not the way that I would have wanted. But overall, though, to have it necessarily be the way it ended up, though, you can't complain.
For sure. And then I'll talk a little bit about Carl's. Obviously, Drew Lock, I like him a lot. He's tied for my quarterback one, I'd say, at this point. I got Haskins a little higher, but Lock's moving up more and more, in Montgomery running behind a very good interior offensive line. and tackles, honestly. Jonah Williams, McCoy, Bradbury, Lindstrom, and Edwards. They're going to get some movement there. And then I also love having Emmanuel Hall with Drew Lock, Noah Fant, who can stretch the seam as well as any tight end in this class. And then pretty good complementary weapons at wide receiver. I don't really know which one is going to be the slot, Carl.
That was a question I was asking myself. I think, honestly, I'd probably put Riley Ridley in the slot.
Me too.
I think he's so smooth as a route runner. He's not going to be that quick twitch guy, but I just think he would be a nice one there in the slot compared to – I don't think Hall has that slot ability.
I don't see that either.
That's a good fit for him. So, yeah, I'd keep him on the outside, Riley Ridley there in the slot.
Alrighty. Well, good job, guys. We'll get this on Twitter, and this will be up Saturday. So, listeners, hopefully you're enjoying your weekend. Or if you're driving to work again on Monday, I'm sorry about that. But I hope you enjoyed it. Well, that's going to get us out of here for today. We hope you enjoyed it. That's going to wrap up this episode of Building the Broncos, powered by Overtime Media. You can find Carl on Twitter at Carl Dumler MHH, Cameron at Cameron Parker PO, and myself at Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you head on over to Mile High Huddle, an affiliate of 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports Digital, to find more covering the Denver Broncos. Head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and comment. Your support can help us continue to bring you our Denver Bronco deep dives. You can follow the Building the Broncos podcast and all our other great audio content by subscribing to the Huddle Up podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Mile High Huddle and at BTB Football Pod. For Carl Dumler and Cameron Parker, I'm Nick Kendall, wrapping up another episode of the Building the Broncos podcast. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you soon. Go Broncos.
You've been listening to Building the Broncos. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.